Hi everyone. So I wanted to talk about PA's neglect towards Succession Nova. It is my favorite class in the game. I thought it was very well designed originally, and I enjoyed it and had a lot of fun playing with it and PvPing. But as time has gone on, after class reboots, reworks, a lot of buffs have been going to other classes where Succession Nova has been completely ignored. So I have a couple points I wanted to go over and discuss about this because it's becoming so much of an issue to the point where other classes, if you were to grind 3 hours somewhere and you were to grind the same spot for 3 hours on Succession Nova, you're going to be losing about 1 to 1.5 billion silver just in the span of 3 hours. So when a class is getting severely just overpowered by other classes, it's not even viable to play unless you're sitting still in a spot and you're not moving. And there's not many spots in the game where you can sit still and just sit there and grind just without moving, just pressing a couple buttons. So I have a couple points I'd like to go over. For starters, the class just needs some buffs, and it's just been completely ignored in the last however many balance patches, except for a couple changes, all of them which went to Awakening, and the only one that went to Succession was a bug fix. It was just like a little error in a tooltip or something like that that they just fixed. It was one small skill. So it's getting really outperformed, and it's really kind of unfair, especially since they talk about balance so much at PA, but the classes I enjoy just get nothing. So one of the main problems we have is, and this goes for all the classes that use pets or have some type of pet damage. For example, Sage and Awakening, all the Arcanons or Arcanons, those are pet damage. Musa's Slash, where you shoot out the wave, is also considered pet damage. Ninja's skill Serpent Ascension used to be pet damage. I don't know if it still is. I'll talk about that more shortly. Witch, Wizard, both use pets. And then Hashashin with the tornadoes. So what I propose we use to fix it is to condense the skill like they did with Ninja. So with Serpent Ascension, what they did was instead of it being multiple waves when it comes out, I could be incorrect on the skill name, but when he would use the ability, it would shoot 2 waves, but you could walk away and the waves would still go, so it technically counts as pet damage. So to fix that and make it faster, what they did is they made it 1 wave, and I believe they removed it from pet damage. I could be wrong on that, but shortening it and allowing it to come out like that allows its burst damage to be a lot higher than it used to be, and from what I've experienced, it performs better. I do also play other classes, so Ninja was another one I play. But to fix that is just condensing skills or merging them, so all the pet skills would then be combined with the skills so they don't count as pets, and then they can receive benefits and stuff like that, but I'll get into that shortly. So right now they just have a couple accuracy add-ons, and on the skills you'll just see like 5%, 9%, 10% accuracy, but the reason that doesn't work and it's not functioning properly is because the pets don't receive any of those add-ons. If you grind in an Elvia spot or any spot that has weapon buffs, if you go to Gyphins, all those buffs you get from the spots don't actually affect your pets at all. So any skills, Axion, your pets, just you lose a ton of damage, and it causes you to grind slower and do a lot less damage. So that's another issue with it, as well as the fact that Nova has the lowest AP in the game as just base. So at base you only get around 50-ish AP, whereas other classes like Succession Sage, for example, have over 100 AP just for being on that class. So by playing Nova, you're automatically losing 50 sheet AP, or hidden AP. So it's huge nerf there. And on top of that, Your pets, they don't gain any buffs, so when you're trying to attack something, all your pets are doing less damage, they are losing accuracy, and it's just overall just puts you at such a severe disadvantage. But classes like Hashashin haven't really been having as much problems with that because they buff its class and give it more damage when we're just getting completely ignored. So it's like, as a Nova player, you look at it, you see all these other classes getting buffs and doing so much more damage, and it's just, we get completely ignored. So, like I said, just merging those skills and making it so instead of them being considered pets, it's just part of the animation, and then it receives all the modifiers. If they do not want to do that, or they don't have the capability to do that, instead what they could do is make it so the pets all are able to receive the buffs. That would inadvertently buff not just Nova, but a couple other classes as well, which could cause more issues and take more time to balance, but that is an option because then Sage, Hashashin, Musa, Witch, Wizard, they're all going to get buffs. Ninja, Kunoichi with their Chakram and Awakening. Just a couple classes would all get buffs, so they might need to do some balancing around that, but that way pets aren't just terrible. So my next point is going to be the forward guard issues. For every class, it's become an issue. I know a couple people like Blue Squadron and some others have talked about changing it, but in the current balance patch of the game, if you do PvP or do anything besides PvE, what'll happen is when you're sitting there, if a ranger or archer shows up, they fire a couple arrows, boom, forward guard's gone, and then next thing you know, you're dead. That's it, Forward guards are not shields. You're supposed to be a frontline class on Succession Nova. You're not even able to tank anything. You just get hit a couple times, your forward guard's gone, and then you're dead. So for PvP, forward guards need to be fixed all around or balanced better. If it gets shredded like it's wet tissue paper, it needs to be fixed. So a couple options I can propose for that would be just buffing forward guards, make them actually able to take damage, or make them hit based. So it would be, instead of just how much damage you take, it would be hit based. So for certain classes, you could make it that their forward guards are weaker. Like Ninja, you could make it so it can only take so many hits. All classes have different hit modifiers, their multipliers. So one skill will hit 13 times, one skill will hit so many times. So you can make it so it takes 100 hits to break, or you can make it so it takes 200 hits to break, and you could balance it differently between each class. So that's an option. The other option would be just increasing the DP cap, which might be needed in the current meta, as we keep delving more and more into AP. Everyone hits so hard that you get pretty much one shot or two tapped, unless you're in Arena of Arsha or you're in some type of skill balanced area. So one of the main issues with Nova, at least in PvP, that people complain about is our summons. So this is something I have no issue changing, and I believe a couple others might be okay with this as well, at least Succession Nova mains. So for starters, with Axion and the pawns, when you block, they stun people, people get mad, so PA is like, we don't want to touch it, because it's supposed to be part of the kit. But it's just annoying, not just for other players, but me as well. When I'm trying to keep someone CC'd or stunned, and if a pawn comes out and pushes them over the cap, they'll get up sooner, and then you have to change how you're going to do your combos and change how you prepare. Yes, there's ways to get around that, but in my opinion, it would be nice just to be guaranteed what skills I do, stun people. I don't have to worry about if I'm blocking, someone gets stiffened, and then I put them over CC cap. So what I propose for this is a couple things. For starters, make the pawns not stun anymore, just increase their damage. So if you block, they do damage, they're not going to stun people. It'll remove a lot of the issue of people going, I just ran up and I got stunned, because they don't know how to super armor protect themselves as they're trying to engage. So that will remove any issue with people complaining, and hopefully that'll allow them to buff the pawns enough to the point where they're also good in PvE. So if you're going to low-end spots, you can block, and your pawns will run around, kill stuff, and you can run around blocking, and it'll feel more like a pet class again. The other problem with Nova in PvP at least is, and in my opinion PvE as well, is Axion. You have to summon him. If you die, he's unsummoned. There's a cooldown. Sometimes it bugs out, and you try and summon him, and it just doesn't summon him. It's just a pain. It's a horrible mechanic. He should just be built into Succession, and that would just alleviate a lot of stress from PvP, you know. And when I say this, I also would like them to remove Enraged State, because when Axion is enraged, one, you're going to start losing all your damage on your skills, because Axion just randomly does whatever, and he doesn't do, so when you use command skills, Axion comes out on the command skills. So when you lose the ability to use one of your main damage sources, as well as the Frostbite he does, which is a separate dot which can stack with other dots to help burst down, you know, tankier people, you're losing that. He just runs around. If you're on the ground, it stuns whoever's hitting you. They get mad. You get mad because then when you get up, you can't use your command skills. You're doing less damage. You can't control them. You can't use your ranged stuns. It's just a mess for everyone. So, in my opinion, remove Enrage, build him into the class, make it so when you use a command skill, he just pops out and does damage. No more Enraged State. Just remove it and remove the need to summon him. Just build him into the class. Make him work like the pawns do. You just control him. No issues. You get more damage. Players are less annoyed in PvP. It's just all around, in my opinion, better. If you're grinding at a high-end spot and you're under-geared and you die, you don't have to worry about resummoning him. You don't have to worry about the cooldowns. It's just, it fixes a lot of issues. So first, that's another thing I think needs to be fixed regardless. Another thing with him is if you're using your combos really fast, he's going to pop out super quickly. He's not going to finish his animations. So you're going to lose a lot of damage. So a lot of people will argue otherwise, but you're going to lose a lot of damage if you're comboing really fast, faster attack speed. You're losing just little bits of damage. If you test it and you let him do his full skill, you'll notice there's little bits of damage you'll lose. So they need to condense it into smaller skills. So when you use him, if it is going to cut those animations, then it needs to do the full damage of the skill instead of canceling it in total. That's an issue that's been driving me nuts, because if you attack really fast, it just screws you over. Sometimes you have to let animations play out, but if you're in an area, since it's all super armor, no forward guard, you know, you can worry about taking damage if you're low gear. My next point is just going to be the cooldowns and skill timers. Nova's one of the few classes that doesn't really have a lot of self buffs. As far as the buffs it does have after the skill add-on rework, we do have a crit damage buff and a couple other buffs, but they only last 5 seconds. 5. Not 7, not 10, you know. So I think a lot of the timers need to get reworked. A lot of our command skills are the only skills we use, because all the absolute skills and the ones that they changed to prime, no one uses them. They're very bad skills to use. They're unprotected. They're just terrible skills. The only time you would use them is if you're re-CCing in PvP. So they're wastes of skills. And having them there and then increasing the command cooldown times, it just screws us over. So either something needs to be done about all the absolute skills that no one uses, or all the command skills need to have their timers and cooldowns reduced and their buff timers increased, if they even have any, because we still need AP and accuracy buffs, because we don't have any. So the class doesn't hit stuff at high-end areas. You see miss, 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 miss. Because pets don't have accuracy either, so miss, 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 miss. So they need to be merged so we get the increased accuracy and we get the increased AP. Cooldown timers need to be shortened so we can use skills and keep our add-ons active. And then it'll allow our class to play a little bit better, a little more smoothly, have more damage, and be able to finally keep up. It might not even be equal to other classes with just those couple of buffs, so we might need more damage on top of that. But those are mainly all my points. It's in a really horrible state right now, and it really just, again, needs AP, needs accuracy. Axion's Enrage needs to be removed, the stuns on the pawns need to be removed, and their damage needs to be increased, as well as our forward guard being able to last longer and work better. And just the pets need to be affected by buffs. Outside buffs need to affect the pets, or they need to be merged to the skills, because if not, they will not work. So it's in a terrible state right now, and PA for the last couple patches just completely ignore it. It's like the class doesn't even exist to them besides Awakening. So either a rework's coming or they don't know what they're doing. And I prefer they fix it like that because I really enjoy the class, and even if they add a rework, right now you're able to stay full super armor protected and grind pretty peacefully. And I prefer to grind in PvE in full super armor. I could care less about having forward guards on skills. I just enjoy it, and I think it's good as long as you have Axion out. But if he goes in rage, you're screwed. So they definitely need to remove the enrage and do some serious tweaking and fix the DP cap so you can actually survive a couple hits. Because dying in a couple shots from an archer and ranger is just not fun. We need more DP, and we need the forward guards to be tanky so tanks actually are able to tank. At least if that's where they want to go with the game, unless they're okay with everyone dying in a couple hits. But that's my opinion. That's what I think needs to be done to Suck Nova. Feel free to agree or disagree in the comments. I'm happy to talk about issues and see how other people feel, but as of right now, I feel like that's what we need. And if anyone has any questions, just ask. All right. Thank you.